All right. So we're here again, live. Thank you for joining us. Thanks if you guys saw the fuddle that we just got through. Thanks for coming back to us. We're learning as we go. This is great. So I'm Sherry Brazier, and I am from Sherry Brazier Style Coaching. I am a life and style coach, and I help women be confident on the inside and dress that way on the outside. So I love what I do because I love to work with all kinds of women in all different aspects of confidence. We start from the very beginning, if that's where you are, or wherever it is that you are, and we grow from there. And then we help you get dressed how you feel. And it's such fun work. And then I am also here with Ruth Liebel. She's with Ruth Liebel Coaching, and I will let her take a second to introduce herself.
Okay, I'm Ruth Liebel from Ruth Liebel Financial Coaching. I specialize in helping couples get on the same page, and I can help anybody create a spending plan, a financial plan that they love for a life that they're excited about.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
All the money drama, we get rid of that. You walk away
Yes.
with confidence. We have a word in common: competence
Yes.
and confidence.
Yes, which is why we work well together, because I think that money is for sure where people get stuck. And just with me building my business, I have found that money thoughts and beliefs and whatever go really deep.
Mhm.
And they show up in weird places that you don't really know. And I do things that I didn't realize were because of my money beliefs.
Well,
And
I think a lot of it is because people only connect money to currency, and I actually teach people differently. I'll just do a little thing. So my definition of money is it's exchanging your time, your talents, your energy, and your ideas with other people so that you can support your values and improve the quality of life. So when you look at that, it's more than just, and a lot of times, especially women, if we are the lower income earner or we're stay at home, we think we're having no financial contribution. But when you look at the other pieces of money, you actually have a huge financial contribution. And dismissing that is what gets us into trouble. And that's why, working with you is, I bet you probably work with a lot of stay-at-home moms or people who have side gigs. They're not making as much money. They feel guilty. They feel like they don't merit getting their hair done, their nails done, their clothes. And I know I did when we were super broke. It was like spending money on me was frivolous. It didn't increase our earning potential. For Patrick, it was all about the investment. He's the one that was visual. He was the one doing job interviews. He was the one around the office, and I just got spit up on all day. But it did start to affect things. So yeah. Sherry, I've worked with Sherry. Sherry is helping me pick out cute clothes. She doesn't take me shopping, but I learned what I learned from her. And I think, am I doing you justice?
You are.
I feel awesome. I was telling Sherry the other day, my husband has never given me so many compliments about my appearance. And I don't know if it's because I finally learned how to dress myself, or if it's that confidence part. And I now do it because I like myself, not because I hate myself. So when he gives me compliments, I believe him, which is hey, that's a perfect lead in to our discussion today.
Yes, it is. And I was hoping that you would bring that up because when you sent that to me, I was like, this is exactly what we're going to talk about today on our live. And Ruth texted me this last weekend, over the weekend, and she said, that she'd gotten a compliment from her husband. And she said, what's going on? Is it that I'm doing something different? Am I just figuring it out? And so now the compliments are warranted, or do I just believe him now? And I responded back that, yes, you believe him because you think that about yourself. And when we believe that about ourselves, then we internalize the compliments that we get, which we are going to talk about today. So let's get into it, because I don't want to start with number 3 first. I have 3.
Like watching a movie backwards.
Yeah, we're moving backwards. I have 3 tips, 3 points, bullet points. And then within those bullet points, we have some topics that we want to talk about. So the first one is practice giving compliments. So if we want to be a high value woman, then we need to be able to compliment and accept compliments and internalize those compliments, because it creates and builds confidence in ourselves. So
It's
the
a
first
social
one,
skill also.
yes,
And a high value woman is going to be socially competent and socially desirable. Is that a, I say that?
Mhm.
You are socially desirable. Yeah,
Yeah.
you work well with women, you climb your hierarchy, you're pleasant when you work with your male advocate. You do him honor to his male hierarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
And I feel like when I mean, this is like everyone is going to resonate with this, but you know, when you're with a group of women and they're just a bunch of negative Nellies and they're constantly like backbiting and gossiping and saying, you know, mean things about other people and whatever, how long do you want to be in that group? How long do you want to be in that room? Not very long. You
Yeah.
don't want to be around people that are negative and that are backbiting and cutting people down. You want to be with a group of women that uplift each other and then uplift other people around them. They talk highly of other people, because if you're in a group of women that are talking bad about other people, they're talking bad about you too when you're not there. And that doesn't feel good. So giving compliments, when you are a person that is good at giving compliments, it means you're desirable to other women as they want you in their group of friends. Not like,
It helps you step into the role. One of the female superpowers and one of the female roles is to inspire. We talked about this, our original conversation. We want to be useful to our female hierarchy, and we want to inspire in that marketplace with the men, like how we interact with our men, but especially our male, like our husband or like our father, whoever is your male advocate. You want to inspire him. We're the cheerleaders.
yes,
We're the reason they go to battle. So if
Mhm.
we tear them down, or if we tear our ladies down, we all drown. You are useful if you can inspire people to become their best self. So if you're only picking at the bad parts and dragging people down, you're not useful and you're not inspiring.
That's right.
Mhm.
So, you can't give something that you don't have. So this came to my mind when I was writing down my notes today, that if I am not looking out of myself to find the good in other people, if I don't have a practice of doing that myself, then I can't give it to anyone else. Right. So the very first thing that I say there's the very first step in giving and receiving compliments is looking out wherever you are to the people that are around you and finding something to tell them as a compliment, whether it's, I like your hair, whether it's, I like the way that you speak, I like the language that you use, I, like the way you carry yourself, whatever. It doesn't always have to be a physical appearance. That's just the easiest thing to compliment someone on. So if you can't think of something and you're like, I don't really know what to say, like, because we all get caught up in our brains, then find something that you can see that's a physical thing, like a shirt or glasses or hair or something, just to get yourself used to giving someone a compliment. I don't want people to then come at me like it's not all about the physical appearance and you're, whatever, the hierarchy of women being sexual beings. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, if you have a hard time giving compliments to other people because you have insecurities about yourself, the easiest thing for you to do is to say, I like your shoes. That's the easiest thing for humans, is to pick something that they can see with their eyes and that they like and say something about it. That's just the easiest thing. And that's just the first step. Whatever is easy is the first step, right? So pick something that you can see and give a compliment. If it's kind, say it. If you can think of something kind about someone, say it. Don't
And
hold back.
sincere. And
Yes.
sincere. Say something you can sincerely say.
That's genuine.
Yes. And
Yeah.
even like I haven't been one of those girls that has appreciated physical compliments, meaning like my shirt, I like your shirt.
Mhm.
But I didn't receive them very often, but that's probably why. And now those compliments are landing differently because I put a lot of effort into it now. Maybe not a lot. I put more effort than I ever have before. Usually it was like, I have my 5 shirts in my closet and I just put it on because that's what I wear and it's super practical.
Mhm.
But now I actually put a little effort into it. So I'm receiving those compliments as a compliment to the rewards for my time.
Yeah. And your
And
effort.
I dress as a social skill because I want to make other people feel comfortable. I want to brand myself. I want to brand my family. I want to brand myself as a professional. So what that compliment is saying is your branding is doing very well.
Mhm.
And that hits me differently. It means your efforts are working. And that
Yes.
for me, I like that. It's going to hit somebody differently. Maybe they're not going to love the compliment and somebody can be like, oh my gosh, yes. But just that's the practice of the compliment, looking outside of yourself and giving little things of encouragement.
And it goes to your personality.
Mhm.
And I do personality typing and, style type personality stuff inside my program. And there are words that land better with your specific personality. Because if your specific personality is very logical and practical, then if I say, Ruth, this is going to be so fun. Let's go do something fun. You're like, that's not practical.
Yeah.
Like you got stars in your eyes, come out of the clouds. That is not practical. We can't just have fun all the time because that's your personality. But my personality is fun. So if you come to me and say, Sherry, we need to look at the spreadsheet because you need
It's
to know where your
important.
budget
It's
is.
empowering.
It's empowering and you got to know where I'm going to be like, I'm out. This is no fun. I don't want to do it. It's not fun. So it's very, very important for you to know what your personality is and what your strengths are and the lens that you look at the world in, because then whatever compliments you give yourself are going to be in that realm.
Mhm.
And then when other people give you those compliments, it will land better, just like you were saying,
Mhm.
right? Your branding,
Mhm.
right? Okay. The next one in practice giving compliments is a lot of people will say to me when I'm talking to them about the stuff in my program is people hear compliments all the time. They don't need to know what I have to say. And that is just a direct lens on your own insecurity. When someone says that to me, I see their own insecurity because they don't feel like what they say matters. They don't feel like their voice and their opinions matter to anyone else. And that is where I would then, coach on is their own self-image,
Mhm.
because what you have to say does matter.
Mhm.
And
I'm gonna go a little bolder and I'm gonna say it can be a form of narcissism to withhold a compliment
Mhm,
because it has to do with you rather than them.
exactly. Right.
Like they shouldn't get verbal or affirmation, words of affirmation, because it's coming from you. It's kind of a covert narcissism.
Mhm. Yeah.
If they merit a verbal reward, then give it to them. It's not
Yes.
about you. It's
Yes.
about them.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that was one of the things that helped me start giving compliments more, is
Mhm.
because it wasn't about me. And if I was feeling insecure or feeling like, they don't need to hear it from me, like, well, whatever, I was like, wait a second, that's actually more about me and it's not about them.
Mhm.
So if I give them a compliment, it's about them, it's not about me. And I like things to not be about me.
Mhm.
I don't want to be the one that's, like, I don't want to be all the things, right? In front of everybody saying, come to me, it's all about me, whatever. So I was like, oh, good. That has nothing to do with me. I'm going to give all the compliments out to everyone because it doesn't have anything to do with me.
Mhm.
I want to give them a compliment because they actually deserve it. They look nice, whatever it is. Like they
Yeah.
did a good job, whatever. I want them to know it because it's about them. So, okay, number 2, we're moving right along. Learn how to accept compliments. So first we've got to practice giving compliments, and then we have to learn how to accept compliments. So when I started this journey of giving and accepting compliments myself years ago, I just decided that thank you has a period at the end. And that's a full, complete sentence. Thank you.
Yeah.
No qualifiers, no clarifiers after, no, oh, thank you, but this is just a, old Amazon shirt. This is 20 years old. Thank you, but it's whatever at the end. Whatever it is that you add on to it is really how you feel. And that's really all of your insecurities coming out. And the thank you gets left behind. So you're not actually receiving that compliment when you have a whole bunch of qualifiers at the end. So just say thank you. Thank you is a complete sentence. That was what I kept telling myself over and over and over. If someone gives me a compliment, thank you is a complete sentence. And I would just say thank you. And it was hard for me at first to just be like, thank you, and not want to say all of the things. And that was really powerful for me. Thank you is a complete sentence. That's the first step to accepting a compliment. The second step to accepting a compliment is to then receive it. So in the woo world, they will say, practice saying the words out loud. I receive that. And a lot of people will say that to me. If I give them a compliment, they'll say, thank you, I received that. And I know where it's coming from because this is my work, right? So I study it and have talked to a lot of people, so I understand where it's coming from. But a lot of people will say, that feels weird to say that. That feels weird to say the words, I receive that. Like that feels funny to me. And I don't think that you have to say the words out loud. I think you need to say them to yourself, whether it's internally or out loud. I think both of them are good practices. So after I started, thank you is a complete sentence. There's a period after that. I started in my mind saying, I received that, or I accept it, acknowledging that they gave me a compliment and I'm going to accept that compliment. And I'm assume that they meant it. Assume that it was genuine, assume that it was sincere. I am going to accept it.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if this is a variation, but what was good for me, because again, I had a hard time accepting and giving compliments. And part of my practice was, if it makes you uncomfortable to be like in the focus, because I'm one of the people that I would love to be invisible. Like I would love to just like be the mouse that like runs the perimeter of the room. And but I also don't want to be boring. I don't want to be bored. And so I've always done stuff. Like I like to do stuff, and that puts you around people. But receiving compliments was awkward, probably because giving them was awkward. It was probably my narcissism was getting in the way. But one thing that was really helpful for me was, if it's awkward for the light to be on you, then you can just kind of take that kind, positive energy and just like boomerang it right back to them and say, like one of my lines was, thank you, that means a lot to me coming from you.
yes.
And then it was like, I could take it, and it was like too hot. So then I could like send it around like hot potato, but it wasn't like I'm rejecting it. It's a wall. It was like, thank you. This was fun to hold for a minute. Now I'm passing it on.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I do think that is way better than deflecting.
Yeah.
It's a practice, and that's why they call it a practice, because we have to find different things that work for us. And just like before, when I was talking about personalities, that is classic personality trait for you, is to accept it, and then it's too hot to handle. So I'm going to accept it, and then I'm going to pass it on. And that's awesome. I love that. And I think as a person receiving that back, that's really cool too. Thank you. That means a lot coming from you. I'm like, oh, that was like an extended compliment to me. I gave one to you sincerely, and then you just gave one right back to me. And I think that that's a match. That feels like that's a match. So that's awesome. Okay. The third little point in number 2 kind of leads us into the third point. So how to accept compliments, learning how to accept compliments is giving yourself compliments and then practice accepting them. So if I think, I mean, this is a little bit bolder, maybe a little bit of an advanced technique, but to take what you just said and use it on yourself.
Mhm.
Give yourself the compliment of, Sherry, your hair looks really pretty today. Thank you. That means a lot coming from you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That means a lot coming from myself, because self-confidence is the confidence we have in ourselves and the way that we think about ourselves and our self-image. So if we can practice giving ourselves that compliment and
Mhm.
then saying, thank you, that means a lot coming from you, that is going to skyrocket your self-confidence.
Yeah. Well, the
So
voices in your head, what you tell yourself, it is the determination, the terminator, the determining factor of how the outside world lands on you, no matter
yes.
what it is. Criticism, being ignored, being offended, being
Yes.
complimented, all of that depends on that. It's like you are an operator in your head selecting what enters and what doesn't.
Mhm.
And it's going to be the confirmation bias. That's the psychological term. You believe what you already believe. Your brain is constantly scanning for proof
Mhm.
for what you already believe about something. And if something comes that contradicts your belief, you'll reject it, or you won't see it. So if you believe I'm terrible with money, then any kind of proof that says that you're good with money or you're growing with money, you're going to shut that away. Anything that says you're an attractive person or something has improved about you, if you believe that you're not, then you're going to reject that. Or if you believe that you are, right? Like there's some people that you're like, it's the tiniest little hint and they're like, oh my gosh, they totally want me. You're like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, whoa, so it's that kind of thing. It's your confirmation bias. So what you're telling yourself in your head is the most important thing.
Yes.
If you're beating yourself up, it doesn't matter how many compliments your husband, your friends, your brothers, your boss, like anybody is giving you, you're just going to reject it. And then they're going to stop giving you compliments because it's exhausting to give you compliments.
Yes. And that is another thing, like when you're practicing accepting compliments, I think that it's okay. I mean, I did this for myself. It was a lesson for me
Mhm.
that when I deflect a compliment, how it makes the other person feel. And if it's my husband, he's giving me a genuine compliment.
Yeah.
He genuinely is giving me a compliment that he actually feels. And then I'm shutting him down by not receiving it.
Mhm.
And he's my life partner. And how does that make him feel?
Yeah.
Day after day after day after day of giving me sincere compliments and me just shutting the door in his face. And when I thought about it like that, I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that to my partner. That's not the relationship that I want to foster.
Mhm.
And so that's where I started, was with him. He is very, very good at giving me compliments. And like we live in the same house. So I never had a shortage of opportunities to practice. And so I just would practice. Thank you, period.
Mhm.
Thank you. I received that. Like practicing, receiving that, practice challenging the thoughts in your head that are telling you that that's not true. Challenge those beliefs. That's another part of internalizing the compliment, is when you get a compliment and you say thank you and you try to receive it, because at first it's not going to land. Challenge the things that you think about yourself.
Mhm.
Meaning, you know what? Maybe that's not true. What I think about myself. Maybe what he thinks is true and what I think is not. What if he's right?
Mhm.
That was one of the things that I first started with, was what if he's right? When he would say, "You're so beautiful. My wife is so beautiful." I'd be like, what if he's right? Because at first I didn't think that. I was like, there's, plenty of women out there that are way more pretty than I am.
Mhm.
Right. And when I first started practicing, I was like, what if he's right? What if I am beautiful to him?
Mm.
That's where I started, was maybe he is telling the truth. And then it led me into maybe everyone else might be telling the truth too, for different various things. Right.
Mhm.
So that's a hack, is asking yourself, what if they're right? When they give you a compliment, what if they're right? Um,
I
and
think it
then
could
we
even
also,
go to the conversation we had before where you were telling us about how to handle your thoughts. And it was, you said, ask yourself, what do you want to be true?
Mhm,
Like
yep,
what, like you change it to what do you want? Like, do I want this to be true? It's still that same exercise. Do I want this to be true?
yep.
I think there's a lot of things when you start to believe it, then you start to be it. It's kind
Mhm,
of like the Mahana thing, like the story about Mahana, you ugly. Like
mhm,
once she started to believe it, then she started to be it.
mhm.
And I can tell, so it was really, so I'm practicing some singing stuff. I'm going to do some song parodies for like YouTube just to try and teach people about money and have it be fun. And I'm like super paranoid about my voice because I have all the thoughts in my head. But as I'm getting older, I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm not trying to win any competitions anymore. I'm just trying to teach people about money. And so I'm doing this super hard song. It's a Demi Lovato song. Like it's really hard. And I finally just like boldly just did it and I can hit the notes now. Like I just hit him. Like I can hit him any day. And because I'm more confident, now I'm better at it.
Yeah,
Because I'm not
that's
stifling myself. It happens
right.
with business. It happens with relationships. It happens with, it's all the things. Like if you're like, no, I want to be a person who's good socially, then you don't have all the crap in your head stifling you just to go walk over and give somebody a compliment and say hi.
Mhm.
So you get
Yes,
better at it.
yes, yes. Yeah, I love that. I love that, example. That's great. That leads us into choose what you want to believe. Choose what you want to believe about yourself. And the easy thing to write down is what people are telling you. People are telling you wonderful, great things about yourself. Maybe you should consider believing them,
Mhm.
wanting to believe them, because that's one of the first things, is wanting to believe it, because we get into these victim things, like
Mhm.
our lives are so terrible, even like maybe they are, like maybe you're going through some stuff and life isn't super great to you right now. That's a thing. But it doesn't mean you have to sit there and let that kind of be the shadow of your whole entire life. But I
Mhm.
think that's easy to do when we're struggling, and when, especially with mental health. And if you have postpartum depression, or you are going through a death, or something like that, it's easy to have that kind of overshadow your whole life. That's easy. The work is choosing it not
Mhm.
to not have that overshadow your whole life, right? So
Mhm.
we get to choose what we want to believe. So what do you want to believe about yourself? You get to believe whatever you want. I mean, in your message that you sent me this weekend was, I have been thinner, stronger, whatever, prettier, whatever it is, like in the past, like maybe you've had a couple of kids. So maybe before your kids, your body had less weight on it,
Mhm.
right? And you would assume in your brain that you
Mhm.
were prettier then because you were skinnier, right?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
that's weird stuff we have in our heads,
Yeah.
right? But maybe he hasn't ever seen you more beautiful than you are today. And it's because you think it about yourself. It has nothing to do with the weight that you have on your body. It doesn't have anything
Mhm.
to do with how strong you are, how often you go to the gym, or whatever. It doesn't have anything to do with it. It's the confidence that he sees.
Mhm.
And every husband wants to have a confident wife, every single one of them,
Mhm.
every single one of them. And so that's why we're doing this series of becoming a high value woman. Give yourself the gift
Mhm.
of thinking you're amazing,
Mhm.
because you are.
Mhm.
And then give
Letting
your
other
husband.
people tell you good things. I like to take it back. I mean, I don't know. Part of what the difference is, I'm receiving him differently.
Mhm,
And so he just, it's easier. I mean, Christ is the example of this.
Mhm.
We love him because he loved us.
Mhm.
So he sees me because I see him. Right? Like we can take it back to that second point, learning how to accept compliments. If it's exhausting to give you a compliment, if it's demeaning to give you a compliment, if you give somebody a compliment and they meet you with an insult, meaning like, I like your shirt, where did you get it from? And you were like, this old thing, this is just for my grab bag, this is my what, then you're like insulting their preferences. You don't know
Mhm.
what you're talking about. You don't have good taste. You don't
Mhm.
know what a good voice sounds like. You don't know what a funny person sounds like. You don't know what a good speaker looks like. You don't know what a pretty woman looks like. You don't know what a smart guy, like, you
Yeah.
don't know. It's so insulting. Right.
Yes.
And then it's
Yes.
exhausting. Like, I know sometimes I always felt starved for compliments because I was so mean to myself. Right. Like, ladies, I'm sure I'm not the only one. We're so mean to ourselves that we're just we're starved for positivity. So if anybody gives us something positive, then it's like we're like starving for it. So we say, oh no. And whatever we say, and what it does is it makes them come back and defend their compliment with more compliments. It's gross. It's weird. It's exhausting.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
when you learn how to accept them, even if you aren't to the point where you can believe it, it's like somebody coming to your door and knocking, like, hi, I made this gift for you. And you're not going to be like, this old thing. Even if you just take it and go put it on your counter and say thank you, and then decide, am I going to hang this in my house? Is this going to go in the soap dish? Am I going to use this potpourri? Am I going to wear this? Like, whatever the gift was, then you decide, how am I going to use this in my life? But at least take it graciously
Yes.
and like sit with it a minute.
Yes. 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 I love that. I love that analogy. And sometimes that's what we need, is to think of something that is seemingly doesn't have a lot of emotional connection, like potpourri,
Yeah.
to make the connection of, oh, I don't want to shut the door on my husband when he compliments me. I don't want to do that. I don't want to reject him like that. That's not the relationship that I want to have with my husband.
Mhm.
And so that connection and realization, and then for me to take responsibility for how I show up in our relationship, because sometimes some of the stuff that we're talking about could kind of land like a sting a little bit, because we are responsible for the relationships that we are in.
Mhm.
We are responsible for the life that we live, for the experience that we are having on this earth. We are responsible for it. It's not anyone else's job. No one else is responsible for the way that we're living our lives. And we've got to take control of that and decide who we want to be.
Mhm.
So that's why we decided to come on and do this series, is because I don't know any other place that's kind of talking about this stuff. And if you and I feel strongly about it, there's got to be other women that are like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
We need some help. We need to find our people that think the way that we think and are going to uplift us and inspire us. That's what we want to do. We want to uplift and inspire.
Yeah.
And encourage and make an impact. That's who you and I feel like we are in this world. That's our destiny, is to uplift and inspire. And so that's why we are here. So with this way of doing the Zoom through, the Facebook Live through Zoom, I can't see the comments. So I don't know if anyone is commenting, but if there are comments, Ruth and I will go back into the chat and we will make comments, and we're going to figure this out. By the time we have, lots of people watching us, hopefully we'll know what we're doing, and we're just going to keep doing it. We're just going to fuddle along and we're just going to keep doing it. So, is there anything else that you want to say last to close us out?
No, I think you're an awesome leader and I love working with you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I love doing it and I like to talk. And I like to have conversations about
Oh,
stuff.
let's seed our next one if anybody's listening.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
The next one we're going to talk about. Okay, so I will say this. There were times with my husband that I would be like, he never gives me any compliments. And then I have to stop and be like, well, what would you compliment you on? But like,
That's a
are you
good one.
doing something worth complimenting? I'd have to honestly be like, maybe not. And then I had to go fix it. And then compliments would come. So that seeds us for the next one. We're going to talk about becoming a high value woman through being interesting and interested.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm excited about that one. When we talked about it, I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
becoming a high value woman by being interesting and interested. What does that mean?
Yeah.
That's super fun. We are going to do some dishing about that for our next live. So I hope you guys love these little videos because we love doing them. So I guess it doesn't really matter if you like them because we like them and we're just going to keep doing it.
Oh, another little plug and reminder. So this full thing is always available on Sherry's page. And then if you want to have shareable snippets, you can find them on my YouTube channel. I think it's just at Ruth Liebel, maybe at Ruth Liebel.
It is. I think it's Ruth Liebel Coaching.
Okay, Ruth Liebel Coaching. And then I have little snippets that you can share or just review little parts of them. Because if you're like me, you'll watch 12 5-minute videos, but you won't watch a 20-minute one.
Right. And these are tending to be an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. So
Yeah.
if you're like, I can't watch all of this at one time, go to Ruth Liebel Coaching on YouTube. And she has done like little 5-minute snippets on her YouTube channel. And then they're easy to share because they'll text or they'll email or they'll, share it on Facebook or whatever. And they're really easy to share. So go to Ruth Liebel Coaching on YouTube. They're always here on my Facebook page. Ruth has a email landing page for you to get on an email series so that you'll get reminders for our lives. I have an email list. If you want to get on my email list, I send out reminders every week for this live as well. So I say get on both of our email lists because Ruth does some amazing emails about financial stuff, budgeting. She has some great free resources. I've used them. I'm using them now. So she's got great stuff on her email list. So you're going to want to get on her email list. And my email list is awesome too. I have lots of fun things that I put out on my email list for how to dress and style and confidence and all the things. I have a podcast and all the things. So if you want to learn more about us and stay in our worlds, then get on our email lists. So
yeah. And comments. We love comments.
Yes.
Your feedback kind of guides us on what we should talk about next.
Yes.
So
these aren't really like, we don't really have anything to sell you per se. I mean, we both do our coaching, but this is more for you to just have our ideas and just get a conversation going because we want to find more women that want to be high value women and be in our worlds just because we want to network with you and we want you in our worlds. So
the world also needs us. The world needs more high value women who understand themselves, who don't get bogged down with drama, who don't create drama, who love their femininity. The world needs feminine women. And that in itself is a huge breadth because women are such complex, dynamic, versatile creatures. And there's so much of us that we can tap into, and the world needs all of that. But we need women who just love who they are and want to become their best selves. The world needs us.
Yes. The world
needs
each
other.
We need each other. We need each other. So the rising tide raises all boats. I got to figure out what that actual quote is because the rising tide raises all boats. I don't know. Anyway, I'll figure it out.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
That's what we have for you guys today. And we will see you next week on another episode of Becoming High Value Women. See ya. Bye. See ya. Bye. See ya. Bye. I don't know how to end this. See ya. Bye.
Oh.
I don't know how to end this.
Maybe at the top. We're still here.
We're still here. I'm trying to end our live.
At the top.
Just kidding.
I feel like this is like Ferris Bueller, the end of the credits. And he's like, you're still here? Go home.